Coming to you live from the Business Radio X studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by IDS, an award-winning digital marketing agency that delivers integrated marketing solutions for franchisors, franchisees, and franchise development teams. Learn why over 75 brands depend on IDS's team of dedicated marketers and client service professionals to deliver a strong ROI on their marketing investment. Go to idsfranchisemarketing.com for a complimentary digital audit and consultation.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio. I'm your host, Rob Ganley, and I am happy to have our guest today and an awesome brand. I love talking about cars, so this will be fun. But I have Charles Bonfiglio with Tint World. He is the founder and the CEO. And want to welcome to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and happy for the invite.
You got it. It's great to have you. So tell us a little bit about how you landed to where you are. It's always an interesting story. And I know you have a history in franchising, kind of looking at it from different angles. So tell us a little bit of how you landed with this brand and your CEO now.
I don't know if I landed here, but I certainly had a journey to get here for sure. I guess really what propelled me to get to where I am is I always had a passion for cars. As a teenager, I always loved them. And I didn't think I was going to use it as a way to, grow financially, or I just really loved the lifestyle of cars and customizing them. And so when I turned 21, I decided I want to open up my own car shop. And I bought a one-way ticket to Florida from Brooklyn, New York, and took 2 suitcases and headed down there myself. And here I am in Florida thinking about what kind of business can I open. I wanted to create a car stereo shop, aftermarket accessories, and things of that nature. I really love working with my hands and working with people on cool cars. And I really I couldn't get a loan from the banks. I couldn't get a landlord to, trust me to lease me because it was like a unique business model. And I only wanted a nice retail location. And after being down in Florida for a little bit, I found franchising. And I said, whoa, this is great if I can find a franchise that could support me. But there was nothing in the category of aftermarket accessories that at the time or even recently that I found. And I came across a Meineke franchise. A cousin of mine opened one in New Jersey and he was doing well, and him and his brother recommended it. And I looked into it. And if I couldn't have an aftermarket accessory business, let me go with a franchise with Meineke and auto service and repair. And with that, I saw very quickly by using the name and discussing with leases and banks, I was able to get the loans that I wouldn't get on my own because they had these special programs for franchising. And that's when I realized I can leverage this franchising to be able to have a roadmap, a plan, and grow. And when I'm ready, maybe in the future, I can open up the business of my dreams. And that's how it started.
Wow. It's funny. They're always different. I always hear different stories, but it always comes from noticing something that's not there, a lot of times. It doesn't have to be, it could be a process or a way customers are treated or something that's missing from a business or something you just would like to see yourself. But that's really interesting to see that, how that evolved. So now here you are, right? I kind of say land because I know time flies. I know a lot changes, and then here we are, right, in the present. And in the present, you're growing this amazing brand. And these last couple of years, especially in the world we live in, you've been growing really, really quickly. So tell us about, your vision for the brand, and where do you see this going? How big of a brand will it be? And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I learned a lot from my prior franchise experience being a multi-store owner. I grew to 10 stores and I owned a lot of the real estate I developed along the way. So I learned a lot of things from the franchisor and from other franchisees that really got me to be better. And you learn what you like, what you want, what the franchise does really well, and what things you can do. I saw that, expanding categories of services was really important because there's always a change, a dynamic change where, sooner or later, something runs dry, something changes. And if you really want a sustainable brand to continue growth, you always have to be looking out to the future on what's the next, item or items that are going to be able to sustain you, whether it be seasonally or whether technology is going to be taking over or whether new services are just all kinds of things. And so when I built the Tint World franchise, I really built it. We have 20 categories of services. And unlike most franchise company, we don't just have a brick and mortar, and we don't just have home services or commercial services or marine services. We have them all. So I saw when I was a Meineke franchisee, I had the work that I can do in the four walls of my stores. And so I made bigger stores and bigger stores so I can get as much vehicles in there to work at one time. I was really good at marketing and good at, getting customer service and building a good team. But I saw that, I could only get as big as the store, and it was okay. I'd build another one and I'd build another one until they were really full up and loaded, maxed out. And so with Tint World, I designed it where you can fill up your store, but then you could also, handle the customers. Do you have a house? Do you have a boat? Do you have a business? I'll be able to do those services for you. And we have trucks on the road doing mobile services at the same time. We have the brick and mortar that keeps our foundation of our business model growing. And I just felt that was really the best way to go. Although it's a little more complex. Once you build your store, it's just building the other channels of opportunity. And that's what we're doing. And so I really feel that we have a really bright future because it's been really a good ride. I spent the first 10 years really focusing on building the business, like the categories, relationship with manufacturing distributors, and really building a team that's really going to support them right in the field, as well as, their financial understanding. So by doing all this, it gives you empowerment of the franchisees to be able to grow because they have the foundation that it took me like 30 years to get to that level. My goal is I can get them there in 25% of the time if I can just give them the knowledge that I learned about. And that starts with giving my team the knowledge and putting them out there and empowering them every quarter, working with them on their growth goals. So it's been ongoing, and I see a really bright future. All the categories that we're working in have a projected growth in each industry category we work in. So I think that we're really positioned well for growth.
Gotcha. How would you sum that up when you talk about the categories? And I'm thinking in my mind, services, products, ways of helping the local consumer. And I know you have one in my town this recently in Colorado Springs. I believe you launched one. But tell me a little bit about that experience for the customer. What's different about you, I guess? Like when I compare you to some of these, like you mentioned Meineke, but how are you different? What is your orientation?
So really, listen, the automotive maintenance and repair industry is very broad, both on OE, which is the dealerships, and then the aftermarket. And so, you can have, all the top brand names, Midas, Meineke, Goodyear, Firestone, Pepper, all these brands are all good maintenance, repair, and service brands. And that's really nice, but there's a lot more competition, a lot bigger buying power that are owning companies and doing certain things. So as a franchisee, you're still like, in a crowded industry, doing a niche, but still doing well, but still crowded. And so it's hard to really be leveraged and be the leader in that in any category. So, but when you get into aftermarket accessories, whether it be window tinting, paint protection film for vehicles, vehicle wraps, whether it be color change or design, or for fleets of home service fleets and other kinds of brands that are on the road, they have to be branded well to today's customer to know who they are and brag about their brand. That is their billboard, their signage when they're driving around town. So we do a lot of that. We also do mobile electronics. So when you want car stereo upgrades or remote starts for your car, or you want any kind of protective devices, even GPSs we do for, commercial services, all the different things that you do. We do some of the police departments for the sirens and the lighting and all the different electronics. So that's a really big industry. And then, of course, we do wheels and tire packages, as well as performance parts, lift kits, so you can put them on vehicles, all the styling services and detailing and reconditioning services. Ceramic coatings is very big for us. We have our own line of ceramic coatings to really protect cars. You don't have to wax your car anymore every week, and it's really just like wax, it just dries up. Now you have a protective coating on the car. It's very hydrophobic. You have to clean your car a lot less because dirt just falls right off. Cleans easy, and it lasts almost forever. I mean, it's really, if you have the right coating, it can last a very long time with very minimal maintenance.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's just, I almost want to buy one because I mean, as a business person and as a sales and marketing person, I pick up on things, and like you're saying things that I could see why it could be scaled, right? Why you could really build a big business, and it's not necessarily confined to the walls, right? Where you have a consumer business and, you know, the consumers near you come to you for things. It's great. But when you talk about servicing businesses and you talk about local governments, or you talk about all these different angles of, you know, people, niches and passions people have about their cars, there's just so many ways to reach your local community and do business, right? And grow your business. And so that, I see what you mean by, you know, kind of being maxed out and, you know what I mean, going to another location and another one. But with this kind of model, with the right contracts, the right relationships, you really can grow substantially. I'm sure there's some scaling, but how does that work with scaling? So, you know, you're growing pretty rapidly for a franchisor. And when you launch a new franchisee, tell us a little bit about what goes into that onboarding and that launch process so that they can hit the ground running. How does that look for you?
You know, that's kind of really, I put a lot of my energy in the first 10 years because I was a franchisee, and I thought that there was a lot that the franchisor did well. You know, some things you always think that maybe you could do it a little better. What would they want? A little more transparency. Their marketing dollars focused on their location so they can see it real time. You know, consulting, how to do business and P&Ls. We have an outsourced bookkeeping service that actually does the books for all the franchisees, and we integrated the point of sale into our online accounting program. So we took all the burden off of, you know, owning a business, of doing that wasteful work, and just really, the franchisees can focus on their customers and their employees. If they can focus on that and just honing on the skills and knowing our business system, they know what leads are coming in. They know we track how long it takes to respond to them. We show them their KPIs with a dashboard so they can see everything that they're doing really well. And it benchmarks across the whole chain to see where they can do better. And we encourage franchisees to cross talk with each other in a groups and learn from each other, because that's really what I did. And there's really nobody talking about that, really. So I'm really always talking about that. Like, learn from your peers and, you know, measure yourself based on your own growth, not just being jealous of someone else. Help learn, give them information and get information. So that's really what I did. And then when they're getting to grow and they really got their team in this inside their business running right, now they can really hone on their skills of outside sales. You know, I mean, you got businesses that need graphics on the windows. They need, you know, I got strip malls that have sun coming in, and we can block that sun with good quality window film. We can actually take care of homes with window films, ceramic coatings, you know, theft protection with the security films on the homes. There's a lot of really channels. And on a boat in marinas, I mean, these people that own boats, they just dying for someone to have the skill set with a brand to go in there and do everything to a boat you can do with a car. Maybe without the wheels, but, you know, boat graphics, boat ceramic coatings, boat detailing, boat audio systems, boat video systems, security on boats, you know, all kinds of really lighting on boats. So everything in a car, for the most part, you can pretty much outfit a boat. Difference is, people with boats, they expect to spend thousands of dollars on these jobs. And there's really no player in that other than the one-off guys in every marina. And we go into marina and we set up. I mean, they literally, we like to talk. We get around there. And so it's really a way to spread out outside of the business and really start really working the communities around our stores. And I focused all my energy on that. And then when I was ready to actually start scaling franchise sales, I mean, we just tripped over a few sales a year of new franchise sales with very little marketing. I was really concerned about building the system for, you know, like really success, predictable outcomes. So I would open up franchises and not have to concern that there was something not there for them to be successful. I didn't want to be that guy that had people investing into the company and really not being successful. That would be my nightmare. And so I really built it for myself to not have any aggravation, to have people win when they go in and have great, you know, community attitudes and strong growth. And to do that, it's not easy, but it's a lot easier when there's a system to follow, and it pretty much automates a lot of the processes. So I spent the first 10 years of that, and then I was ready to offer it to grow really quickly. I had about 70 stores in 2019. And at that point, it was time to really scale and grow. And so I really put a lot of my energy into franchise sales and the experience that a new prospect would, you know, have on the onboarding process. I kind of look back to the Ford assembly line on building a car, like, you know, the chassis, the body, the wheels, the trimmings and everything. And then it's off for the races. And so I built like in that category of when a franchise prospect wants to come in, they want to know all these things each step of the way. And then it's building the location, the build out, the marketing systems, the franchise employees, and then off to the races. I mean, so it was really just building that experience. And I put all the team in the right places to do it. I hired like 4 people that literally ran that assembly line from real estate to onboarding to build out to opening up events and then marketing and then building their team for success right off the get-go. That was really what I put into place. And now that allowed us to grow really quickly and be confident that we can grow a lot of stores without very much turbulence at all. It's really successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to commend you, honestly, Charles. I haven't heard that yet. Like, I purposely grew slow. And I know that's exactly true. You need a foundation that not only a foundation of franchisees that are successful and you don't want the opposite of that, right? That's certainly not going to help you grow, but to know that, to have that foresight, to know that beforehand and to be patient and to do the right thing. And then obviously, clearly you have now put that into gear because the last, and then to do it, and we won't spend much time on COVID, but to do it through that and have the momentum you have is an amazing testament to what you're doing there. It can only work well if you're going through that and having the kind of volume and new stores and that you're having. So I commend you for that and for your approach. I think maybe some of that does come from being a franchisee though, right? Maybe from that view.
It does. But, just to reflect back on some of the like more, that's some of the more modest approach, to be honest. I was a franchisee. I really got really well involved with the franchisor of Meineke. I helped them launch their first point of sale system as their chairman of their computer committee. I trained at their conventions. I really went to visit different stores all over the country because I like to learn from them and actually help them grow. And so I really was a little bit of a different franchisee, but I also knew that I was concerned about certain things. I used to see my old franchisor and other companies, they had like so many bookkeepers in the office and, the checks in the mail and this is bouncing and this is going on. And I'm really a very neat person. I don't really want any loose ends and turbulence and I don't want that. So how do I do that? I have to make these franchises so successful that it's like easy to trip over being good. It just is if you could do that. So that's what, and I also looked at like, okay, what don't I want? I don't want a big legal team. I don't want that aggravation. And I don't want a big accounting team. I don't want that aggravation. So how do I, those are the 2 things that I'm least wanting to deal with, the problems and the collections. So how do I do that? Well, I basically built the system for automated reporting. So like once a week, we got over $80 million in our chain-wide sales right now as of this year. And the royalties will come out once a week automatically. I have one accounting person administers the whole system right now, one. And I'm just getting ready to hire a second one just to be, to be proactive. But really, I automated this. I actually built our system when we had less than 20 stores to be where I could have 1,000. I already built what Meineke had at 1,000 or 900, what they had. And I wanted those systems built before I actually started to scale. So when I would grow into it, I would have a very lean accounting department. I'd have almost no a legal department. And why? Because I don't treat people bad. I empower them to grow. I help them get in. And if they ever want, I help them get out. Some people want to grow in different ways. So by doing those things, I think that really goes a long way. And it helps people one way or the other. So being proactive on that was good. And then also putting the financial programs in place where it's easy for franchisees to be profitable and automate the billing process. By doing those things, really all my team is a marketing team, franchise sales team, franchise development, franchise training, and franchise operations. And marketing is the biggest. Marketing is 1/3 of my staff. I'm all about getting them more business. But not just doing it, like I really train my franchisees with a dashboard. They see all the leads coming in, what's organic, what's paid, what's social, what's influencer, everything is articulated, and they don't want to look at all the stats. They just want to know how many leads, when they're coming in, who they are, what the cost per lead, if any, and match that up with return on investment. So when they come into the point of sale and it reports back to the CRM when the closeout's done, they can see what they spent on leads for the month and what the return on investment, how many customers came in from those, how many returned, what was the so if they spend like $2,000 in a month, they know they got $37,000 in sales. I mean, they have to know that. And when they do, I don't have to tell them and say how good we are. They can understand it and appreciate that I'm being transparent. So when you feel that you're confident you're doing a good job, you really want people to know about it, not to brag and not to preach, because they might not understand it. And, you know, when I was a franchisee and I would go to my franchisor and say, listen, I had like the biggest stores and there was a lot of them. I was giving a lot of money in marketing. I'm like, but how do I quantify? Where are my leads? How do I know? And they said, well, you could see the whole company goes up. You know, when we do advertising, yeah, but where's my store on there? You know, how do I know what, what I'm getting? And it'd be nice to be a little bit more transparent. So it wasn't that they did a bad job. I just looked at it from an angle like, well, I really want to know. I just want to know what I'm getting out of this. And I knew I got a good deal. It's just, you don't know how good of a deal. So I think that by bringing that, now let me tell you something, there's no good deed goes undone, it's unserved, unnoticed. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do great. But like I also learned that every quarter, I have to bring new and exciting programs to our franchise. Because like, every quarter, it's like, what did you do for me yesterday? That's a different yesterday. What did you do for me today? So you always have to have something new growing. But that's easy for me because I love recreating and inventing and expanding and growing systems, process, services. And I feel there's never enough to be grown. So I'm always doing that. And I think that's one of the things the franchisees like most about our team is that we're always coming out with really new, exciting things to help grow. They know about it until we launch them and they're like, oh, wow, it's good. Yeah. So I think that's really important to let them know you're always growing. And that's through thick and thin. A lot of other companies had really tough times in the last several years, and we just grew like nobody else. So that's a testament to the mindset that we actually not only have in corporate, but how we empower the franchise owners out in the field, because, they're in there. They don't know. We're on these meetings, these sessions, and these trainings all the time. We're bringing it back to them and keeping their mind positive. And then I give them some of the stuff. Listen, I've been around. I've been through all the crashes and the 9/11, and I've been through the 2008, turn downs, all the different things. And I found whenever those times are hard, I work harder when most people are frightened. And I always come out on the upside because I'm really getting ahead double time when I get out. You're situated right. So I kind of power my franchisees with that same mind thought. Now, don't get me wrong. I realize that there's some people that had it worse than others. But if you do have the ability to work right through it and grow something special, it's probably better to take your mind off and doing something positive if you can.
Yeah. Wow. I would re-listen to that. I'm hearing things like being proactive, being transparent, being innovative, right? Staying fresh, working hard, being transparent. It's and I feel like what you're saying does have a lot to do with you're going through the other side of it for a while, and being a true entrepreneur. Like hearing you talk, you're a person that likes to make impact and fix things that don't work right. That just doesn't make sense to me. Why do we do it that way? Let's not do it that way. So that's amazing. So I'm going to leave the audience. One of my last questions is usually if you could sum that up, right? All those great things you just mentioned. Is there one principle that you have found that helps guide you or helps guide your team? Is there something you always kind of start with when you're leading your team, or anything you want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Well, I really, the people that I as far as my corporate team, you speak in, again, we have almost started 29 people, and about 9 of them are out in the field and ops, they're franchise consultants going around meeting stores, opening stores, and doing everything that they do. And then there's about 20 of us that are in the corporate entity, which almost half of those are marketing and videographers, everything. But we really have a good time. But the most important thing is to put the franchisee first, because if they're having turbulent times, what do you think that we're going to have? If they're all rosy and peachy and growing and having beautiful families and life events, and they're coming to our conventions and they're making money, my FDD looks good, my franchisees love us, and our franchise family here in the office, they're doing well, they got no turbulence. So if we take care of them first, we will in turn be in really good stats. If you're trying to look at the money and chase the money and not focus on what you're really here for, is growing franchises and making them successful and profitable, not just money, sales, but profitable success. If you do that, our life gets easy. And there's no doubt you can ask anybody in my team if that's what's most important to them, and they get it. They really get that.
I love it. And there was a recent study, a poll done of franchisors, and how they ask, what's on your mind lately for 2023, and profitability was one of the top of the list. And it's funny because guys like you, that's the right place to be thinking, right? That's the real thing, right? It's nice to have those vanity metrics, but many times you have a big revenue company and you're working harder, and you think, I could right size this differently. It's more about what I'm keeping and the profit, right? But anyway, that's amazing. I really appreciate your time today, Charles. Is there a website we could share with the audience a little more about, obviously your local stores, but also about the opportunity to get involved?
Tintworld.com. TINTWORLD.com will get you all about our business and our systems and everything that we do. But then there's a franchise opportunity site at tintworldfranchise.com, which is a link on the main site to go there. And that really, I think we did a really good job of explaining, what we do, how we do it, how we support. And there's some videos on there. You can not only just from me, from other people, how our community works. And really the forecasting of where our industries are going and all the channels we serve. Like, it's hard to deny that we are unique and we're the only model that's doing what we're doing. And we're in all growing industries, 20 categories. So why wouldn't you go with the highest profitability business if you like it, if you can afford to get into it, and if you can own your own little mini market, whether it be one or multi stores? Why wouldn't you want to? That's where you're going to lead your life with a successful business. And that's really what I tried to build. What I wanted.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, you're making me want to look into it. It's again, one thing you kept talking about that really struck me was the flexibility of the business model, right? There's so many ways to serve people around you and kind of gravitate to your strengths and then scale. So what an amazing opportunity for folks. I tell you, I appreciate your time today, and I just want to thank our guests and our sponsors and everybody for tuning in. And thanks again, Charles. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you.